Hi guys, I never know if you can see me when I first start this thing, so I figured I'd play some music that I was jamming to. The 80s were coming in strong today. Uh, Hello, Venus and Aries, trining the moon in Leo. I was compelled to come on here and talk and share and be in this flow of energy with you guys. Um, I, I was told to turn on some 80s tunes to start dancing around. I finally feel my energy centers coming back. And I don't know if you guys can feel it as well. It's pretty potent, it's pretty powerful. And so there was just some energy reflections that wanted to come through right before the 11:11. So here we are. We're taking the plunge, and we're what really came in today through meditation and just through my own contemplation and feeling the energies is the energy of the ego. And Venus, that's right now our planet of love and money, self-worth, values, is in Aries. And Aries, we know if you study astrology, the archetype of Aries is the go-getter, right? It's the first. It's the one that likes to compete, that likes to charge ahead, that likes to take action for action's sake. And so this could be an interesting time where, Mars, our action planet, has been in Cancer for so long. It was very emotional and it's very watery. I think of almost like plants that get watered too much and they have like a heavy watery soil. And this is where we've been in the soil of our watery worlds of consciousness, going deep, sometimes seeing where the root system, which, Cancer rules family, where the root system has rotted or been there was fungus there or something there that was deteriorating the root system, which needed to happen, right? Because nature does that because there needs to be regeneration. So during this time period, I'm really feeling this regeneration energy. And I'm going to screen share a little bit for those of you who like to learn the language of astrology. So we're going to look at some of the symbols first, and then we're going to go into a chakra card pool. This is all for the collective energy. So whenever you see this, first of all, I want to welcome you to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Ella Ivy, and I'm the creator and founder of Astrology, whose premise is all is self. And we use astrological language and concepts and connections to cosmic energy to understand, meaning going inwards and understanding the frequencies and the faculties of what's going on inside of us, because we come from the adage that all is self, right? Whatever is happening on the inside of us is being projected outside. So with these planetary energies, it kind of gives me some coherence because I understand some of these frequencies through the language of astrology. It just helps me know thyself, right? So the intention is these sharings, these reverberations, these vibrations that are emitted from this channel is here to empower you, to ignite you into this oneness field that all is self, everything is you. We are in a quantum energy realm right now. And so, the top-down structures of having to look outside of yourself, which is the age of Pisces, for wisdom, for knowledge, for redemption, whatever it is. Now it's almost like the poles have shifted, right? So the energy currents have now we're moving into an Aquarian age. Now, astrologers, they kind of nitpick on the timing of when exactly that's happened. They're saying we're in the progression of it, just beginning this cycle, which we're very much seeing in advances of technology, which is very much Aquarius. The collective groups, there's more power in numbers, there's more power in sovereignty. It's not about the top-down structures, which was Leo, right? The king or the queen or the royalties, because in Aquarius, you are the royalty and you emit the frequency that can share with others that also will attract your tribe, right? Your and what was coming in today really strong is the energy of pride, right? So what wanted to be discussed today through the voice of Venus and Aries is our ego. What is your relationship to your ego? And in my journey, in my own particular journey in this spiritual realm of consciousness, when I was still looking outside of myself, I found a lot of instructors saying that we need to kill the ego, right? We need to destroy the ego and kill it so we can emerge. And even then, the language, because language is a program, the words we speak to describe an experience is going to actually reflect in the matter and the creations that are around us, because we're that powerful of creator, right? In the beginning was the word. And so when we speak when we speak, we're sending out a vibrational cymatical frequency onto the cosmic plane of existence, or the field of energy, which forms a cymatic pattern. And this cymatic pattern will show a certain reality that comes into the material form. And what was shown to me is, through the language, is a double-edged sword, right? Words are swords. The pen is mightier than the sword, because the pentagram denotes the energy of creation through our language. And so how do we use the language? And let me tie this back to how we talk about the ego, right? And so are we constantly trying to kill the ego? And that was the old story, the old paradigm, right? Because the energy of Mars, which inverted is wars, right? At war with self, which is at Mars with self, taking on Mars energy, and it's been inverted where we're constantly battling ourselves, right? So with the South Node right now being in Virgo, we can see how a lot of our brothers and sisters are suffering from autoimmune, right? Where the immunity is actually attacking itself. That's Mars. That's the energy of trying to kill the ego. Because the ego is just, to me, what I've seen, especially with Chiron and Aries, and natally I have Chiron and Aries. Chiron is our wounds of the child, right? Wounds of early childhood, identity, sense of self, sense of worthiness, sense of identification. That's been a great wound for all of us in this period of consciousness. And so that inverted aspect of Mars, or wars, has been war with self, right? Trying to kill the ego. So if you're still trying to kill the ego, this is what my guides were telling me, my 12 councils, zodiacal councils members, because all is self, so it's all me. So when I say my guides, I'm saying my inner guidance, right? Still going inward, bringing the Taurus field in, right? In toward me, because we're in Taurus season, and Taurus is a toroidal field. So right now, the Taurus is really, really being activated, right? New seed point, we had a new moon in Taurus on the 27th of April. And we're still feeling the effects of that, right? So the toroidal field, or the new seed point in Taurus, was the heart, right? So we're starting a whole new frequency, a whole new, not just transformation, guys, because when I think of change, it's like the change of seasons. I just heard this from one of my great teachers and fellow astrologers, Rick Merlin Levine. Sorry, Merlin, yeah, that's your name. But he was talking about the difference between change and metamorphosis, and I really liked his explanation because it makes sense to me. When we go through change or transformation, it's like changing seasons, right? And it happens every cycle, and the change is constant, and the change is pretty the same, right? It goes from spring, summer, autumn, and then fall or winter. But more metamorphosis is the caterpillar becoming the butterfly, literally changing forms and becoming something completely new, right? So we're in this metamorphosis time of becoming something completely new. And with that newness, we're having a new relationship with our ego and our understanding of what the ego really is, how it works, what its function is, in our consciousness. And I've got Mars, progressed Mars. I was born with Mars in Taurus at 0 degrees. But when I'm setting my progressed relocated chart, so basically where my chart is now and where I'm at now, based on, not where I was born, but where I'm located now, my progressed relocated chart has my Mars in Aries. So those of you with Mars in Aries, or, Venus is in Aries for all of us right now, Aries is the focus. And because Aries rules the ego, the id, the first part of creation, the head, the mind, how we think, our cranium, you look at the symbol of Aries, it's almost like the center point of the toroidal field, and how it's starting to emerge, how the seed is starting to sprout, is how I see Aries. And so Aries, and with this trine happening with the moon in Leo right now, was really speaking to me about, can you please quit trying to kill the ego, and can you love me, and can you integrate me? So this is not about killing, because we know that death, if you follow this channel, the channel comes from all is self, and death is not what we think. This is also a part of it, that death is simply, again, the metamorphosis, or the change. It has to change, disintegrate, has to go back into the soil, and then it gets transformed or metamorphosized and becomes something else. This is fermentation. And this is what happens to us on a soul level, from what I've been shown, my belief, not only my beliefs, but my knowing, because I've transitioned, it's a step-by-step process. You have to believe something until you know it. And this is what we're coming from too with the age of Pisces is the age of belief. And now we're transitioning. This new seed point is coming to the age of knowing. So the knowing is in your DNA. It's what you already know inherently, innately, in the 8. I'm thinking of the infinity symbol, right? Innate. And when you're in the 8, you're in the middle of that infinity loop, right? So, and that's also representative of the Taurus field, which we're in the age of Taurus. Another download that came in too with, I'm thinking of the archetype of Aries and the archetype of Chiron, right? Chiron, if you go and study Chiron and who he was a master healer and teacher, and he was a centaur, right? So he was half man, half horse. And so in my own gnosis, as my own inner guidance system was helping me navigate these energies, it was showing me, if anybody studies astrology, you know that the galactic center is in Sagittarius, which is half man, half horse, right? The centaur. And the thing of it is, with the galactic center being at 27 degrees Sagittarius, excuse me, literally the centaur, right? Half man, half horse. It's in the centaur of our Taurus. Now, again, I'm going to play with the language because language is a code. So those for eyes to see and ears to hear, you're going to hear me in a different way. I'm going to speak language, but I would ask that you would tune into that higher octave frequency of what I'm saying. So the centaur, the Chiron energy, which is the wounded healer, is the center of our toroidal field, right? The centaur, which is our galactic centaur, which is in Sagittarius. So this is an invitation for those of you that are looking at your own birth chart. And by the way, guys, I would love to give you a free PDF of your birth chart if you don't already have it. You can go to astro.com or astro.lobe and get your birth chart, but I would love to also provide that for you. So if you want to just reach out to me, I'd send that to you. And I actually have a little bit of a different PDF that I send. It's got a beginner's page that gives you the codes of the symbols. And I also have a free PDF ebook for Astrology 101. Anybody that's wanting to learn these aspects or the symbols of their charts, to just reach out to me. And I'd love to send that to you. But again, going back to the centaur, right? So the centaur is our healing point. And the centaur is in the middle of that toroidal field, which is the 8 that's constantly spinning upward, back and forth. I would invite you to also study the conversation and check out Pam Gregory. She did this amazing podcast with this a beautiful starseed woman who brought us the 10th dimensional technology. Her name is Hope Fitzgerald. It's called the Infinity Wave. And so I would invite you to check that out as well. So right now we're being called to get into the infinite nature of ourselves through the centaur, the central Taurus field, because we're in Taurus right now, of our hearts, which is Earth, right? Because when you invert the spelling of heart, it's Earth, right? So these are all codes, guys, but this is time to revert and bring all the distorted inversions back online to a coherent, vibratory, life-giving affirmation using the language. This is what Live Zen Astrology is why we call each other. That's why this channel is called Live Zen, right? We want to live Zen. We want to live in peace with everything and all things around us. Because if all is self, then the only way to find peace with the others is finding peace with yourself, right? Really understanding. I say understand because you want to go in, you don't want to go under. You want to understand how your operating systems work, right? How your processes work. This is all South Node Virgo, because it directly affects your projections and your experience of this reality. So these are just connection points that I was told to transmit. Again, I'm just the channel. The ego, what has shown me is my ego wants to be integrated. It doesn't have to be killed. It's being repurposed anyway. It's kind of like it's already been fermented. It's already gone down to the soil. It's already like a snake shedding its skin. The skin of the ego and the way we had a relationship with the ego is disintegrating. It's off. It's different. So we're emerging into this new form. And so the form that wanted to be shown today was through the lens of Leo, because we have a trine happening. And so the words that were coming in through my own inner guidance system was pride of the lion. And Leo, it, symbolically rules the lion, right? Rules the heart. And so Source was showing me, we think of pride of the lion, it's actually community. So when you take pride in something, it means that you're doing something in action for the other, right? For your community, for your pride, like the pride of the lions. And I think of like how the lion behaves, right? They're very proud, they're very regal, they're community oriented, which again, this is merging with the opposite because Aquarius is opposite Leo. So looking at, I don't even want to say positive and negative because that tends to be a trickery of the language too. I'm learning to say the agreeable parts of us and the disagreeable parts, right? In relation to polarity. Because positive and negative, when you go outside and ground in nature, you're actually getting negative charges, which is actually helping the body. But see how the language, we say negative, we immediately want to judge as bad, but it's not bad. It's not bad or good. We're transcending the bad, good, right, wrong. We're looking as we're standing in our innate, that center Taurus, right? The centaur of the Taurus field, as we're standing in our truth, which rules Sagittarius, that's where we're going to be able to see the agreeable and the disagreeable aspects of ourselves. So the disagreeable aspect of Aries has been ruling this planet, has been gridded onto this realm because of not remembering or understanding the symbols and the codes, right? They were distorted because we were far away from the galactic center in the Kali Yuga phase of consciousness, which is the darkened phase, right? Going into the soil because we're being repurposed. Again, I'm going to use the language in a very neutral way as much as I possibly can, because we got to transcend duality. We got to transcend to become the observer of the agreeable aspects and the disagreeable aspects, and to learn to love all of it, right? To stay in that center. The heart of the centaur, which is our wounded healer, is giving us the medicine through neutrality, through observation, through learning to love all of it. And that includes your ego, right? So when you want to take pride in your work, in your service, in yourself, that means you're taking consideration of the other, of your community, the pride of the lions, right? Because you're bettering them by you bettering you, right? This is an inside out job. This is that toroidal field where, again, the inversion, we thought we had to chase stuff, right? So it's almost like the Taurus was spinning out. We thought we'd had to chase it. But now it's actually, because we're moving into a more feminine aspect, which feminine just means magnetic. We're turning on, the poles are shifting, the inversion's happening for us to see that, hey, we can actually magnetize and bring it into ourselves through cooperation. The outward toroidal field was competition, right? I got to get there. I got to be there fast. It was because of lack and limitation. And the lack and limitation was the knowledge that we had about what? Our heart and our earth, forgetting that abundance is all around us. So coming into this pride of the lion, as right now we have this beautiful trine with our action planet Aries, saying, hey, please quit trying to kill me. Can you integrate me? Can you acknowledge me? Can you understand that part of having an ego means part of having a physical body? This is also, to me, tied into Saturn, which is, this is how we engage with things, right? And sometimes Mars needs to protect, right? Think of like the immune system, right? Or the skin, that's the organ that protects all the rest of the organs. It's a protector. That's Mars's nature innately. But again, because we've been furthest away from data, light, information in the Kali Yuga phase, we forgot. We had amnesia. We disconnected, or we agreed to. If we came into this incarnation, if you're playing with that language, and you do believe we have, or know that we have many lives, right? And we come back and we recycle, and how it's done, nobody knows. But these are images that I was getting as far as, if there's no death, then things just transform and come back and transform, just like the trees, right? Just like seeds. It's just as above, so below. So these are integrated energies that wanted to come through, especially while this trine is happening. And it's going to be happening, all for the rest of the month. And so I would invite you to consider embracing your ego. Quit trying to kill the ego. Again, we're not a war god anymore. We're protectors, right? Mars in war was war. So we were at war with all these external aspects of self not understanding that it was all because we've been at war with ourselves, right? So another example, what I think of this too is my guides always show me it's like the inner organs or the inner glands, which my guides told me were the gods of the lands, right? Glands. And the gods of the land, sometimes they have their own operating system. So, for example, the liver has its own function, right? And so it detoxes, it filters through, that's its function. And so that land is going to be a filtration system. In previous consciousness, that god of the land, that gland, that liver, thought that was the only thing around, right? And if it saw other things that operated in different ways, like say the heart or the kidneys, this is all just metaphor. So I want you to connect the pieces as, again, higher octave. So the liver in its own god of the land, the glands, saw other operating gods of the land and thought they were at war because they didn't understand that they were all part of this bigger system, which is the body, right? The cosmic body of consciousness. So there is no separation. They're all operating systems that happen within us, that are happening for us. And there's no need to war, compete, right? The liver, the gods of the land who live in the liver aspect, if you will, don't have to compete with the gods of the kidneys or the bladder or the heart because it's all part of the one. You see, these are just metaphorical stories. And again, commanding the language. This is Pluto and Aquarius. Aquarius is higher mind. And it's language, right? Using the language. We talked about the new AI model, the language model, which is ruled by Mercury. And Mercury is going to be transiting into Gemini coming up soon. So the mind is going to be really activated. This is a defrag and reprogramming the mind right now through the language, through getting into the centaur, right? The galactic center of self, and then start projecting it, your field coming out and bringing it in, or sorry, bringing it in this way. So before the inversion was coming out and then coming in. And we can play with these poles of energy, guys. Again, with South Node in Virgo, it's all about being in the body and systems of health. So what are your healthcare practices right now to get you into these frequencies? The only way that I'm getting these downloads is by being in my body and by really connecting. Again, this is that axis point of the North Node we've come to learn, which is our spiritual nature, how the body affects our spiritual consciousness because it's all connected. And the relationship we have to our inner gods, the lands, our glands, is being reflected by how we treat our bodies, how we love ourselves, how we connect to our pride, right? The other, our community. This is heart of the lion. So when you create, come from that space of the ego that wants to play and dance because it is the heart of the child right now, and maybe have a new relationship with your ego. That's what I'm doing. I'm learning to connect my ego in a different way, not trying to kill it. And then the inverted of my ego, how it's been running, because again, I have Mars in Aries right now, third house, progressed. And how it was affecting me in the inversion is I didn't think I was good enough, right? I didn't want to, my ego was actually keeping me small. Like, you're not safe, don't be seen. This is the Chiron in Aries. You're not safe. You can't be seen because, because people are going to be jealous or envious, or again, these are the disagreeable aspects that have been lingering around in my consciousness. They were in my glands, the gods of the land. So as I've been doing the cleanses and just having more coherence about, being in the body and muscle testing what feels good before imbibing with anything, before merging myself with anything. This is Taurus. Before I consume goes in, right? So I'm thinking about the whole process of what's being consumed and the formations that are happening within and the reactions, because it's all a chemical game, right? This is what they studied in Egypt. It's all chemistry. Just like in Aztec, it was about as the technology. Right? These are all, again, playing with the language and you coming up and maneuvering through different parts of consciousness within yourself, perhaps in a new way. And this is part of what Lives in Astrology likes to do, is create aha moments for people to speak in a new way. Again, speaking in radical oneness, right? Everything is self, all is self, so bringing it back. And then projecting out that wholeness, that holistic wellness perspective. Because when you learn to honor all aspects of self, your liver and your heart and the different functions that they provide, Scorpio, the excrement, the things that have to leave, right? So these are all duality, polarity parts of our chart, but actually bring a coherent experience. If you can really just observe the agreeable and disagreeable parts of you, and then bring it into unity and wholeness, is how is this serving you? How is this working for you? How is this allowing you to have peace with the experience? And taking a new sense of pride, which again is about community and communing with the other. You know, these are things that wanted to come through. So if you're still here, thank you so much. Put a heart in the comments and let me know, how are you feeling these energies now with Venus going into, or having been into Aries? What are you feeling? What are you magnetizing to yourself right now? And perhaps this is a conversation with your ego, to have a relationship with your ego in a different way. Use that Chiron in Aries, which again, the Chiron, the centaur, is getting into the center of self so you can become the observer and observe your ego's tendencies of agreeableness and disagreeableness. And you can even go further into your chart by understanding the aspects, and the disagreeable aspects would probably be your oppositions or your squares, or your semi-squares, or sometimes your conjunctions. And the agreeable aspects would be like your trines or your sextiles or your quintiles. You know, it really just depends on what's transiting, what's moving, the energy that's moving around you, and how this shows up. So awareness is key, you know, and it helps you get to your why, which also invokes in wisdom. You know, your why is your wise. As you understand your why, about why you do the things you do, you become wise to yourself. This is again that activation of know thyself, because when you can know thyself, then you can really love yourself and see it like nature, like, oh, that's how nature works. Oh, that's how the nature of self works. Oh my gosh, I can love that. I can enjoy that. I can be with that energy, not trying to kill the ego that's helping you navigate this realm, the protector. It's actually learning to integrate and merge with your ego in a new way, right? That's not inverted in war, but it's actually bringing back up to coherence, which is being in the center point, which is your action, taking action from your heart, from joy, from coherence, and from the pride, for the pride of the universe and the pride of everyone around you, because they are you, right? This is, again, that radical oneness practice that wants to come in. So these are just some of the energies and the reflections that wanted to come through the portal of 11/11 today on Sunday Fun Day. Again, whatever this finds you, this is for you, this message. This is, not everybody may be able to hear this or see this, but that's okay. It's not meant for everybody. It's meant for you. So if you're here watching this and connected to this channel, I'm so grateful and thank you. Thank you for receiving in the way it was given, with love and intention, and taking pride in the inner standings, allowing my ego to thrive, integrated into all aspects of self. This is a new frequency, a new dimension that wanted to be brought through, especially while Venus is in Aries, and especially while it's trining the moon in Leo right now, and Mars in Leo, which is our action. So yeah, for the next, I would say 2 or 3 weeks, or strongs, I should say, maybe start playing with these energies, playing with the thoughts. And let's see what word or mantra wants to come through from our integrated ego selves. Again, I like to pull, I have some chakra cards with little words on them to activate the chakra points and activate. I like playing with language. My South Node is in Gemini 7th house, so I've mastered language 29 degrees, apparently in past lives, or at least the program of it. And now I'm here to share it. This is my North Node in Sagittarius. And guys, if you also too, it's just a point of reference, the nodes are tied to purpose. So if there's a lot of you out there struggling, saying, I don't know my purpose, please look to your nodes, your North Node and your South Node, because that's going to give you clues as to what you've already mastered in your last loop around, and then what you can bring into this new loop of energy, right? The innate, as we're infinitely growing and expanding, right? The North Node is showing where you're expanding this energy in, and to. So, okay. So the ego, the card, and the word is willingness. Are you willing to surrender your old relationship to your ego? Are you willing to surrender? It's also crown, right? This is the higher mind, Aquarius, Pluto transformation. Are you willing to transform your relationship to your ego and see it as a friend, as a collaborator, as someone who helps you take pride into your work, into what you give, because that's the quality is you're giving to yourself, right? When you give to the other in its highest expression, you are giving to yourself in that equal measure. So understanding and more understanding comes, I have found the more I clean my body, the more I reconnect to my body in a holistic and healthy way that's unique to me, by the way. And I would invite you to, if you are going to be doing cleanses and things, which I invite you in now, especially as you're having these new relationships to your ego and the pride, right, of consciousness. Cleaning your vessel helps you have a clearer perspective. It clears the distortions. It clears the warring aspects of self, because now you're understanding it's all a collaborative experience. And maybe there was energies that were a little out of balance in terms of parasites or things that were taking more from you, the disagreeable aspects of consciousness. And now when you cleanse that out, or you push that out, or you transform it, mutate it, or whatever it is through intention for you that feels good to you in your body, then that's what's going to bring more of this willingness, this connection. Again, purple, I'm thinking of the higher mind. The higher mind's connecting to the ego, which is the root, right? It's red. It's the first aspects of self, but it also connects to the crown, which is rules the head, Aries. So again, I'm looking at this as an integrative connection point through astrology, through what's going on in consciousness, through my own personal experience of how I'm experiencing these realms, and the language is coming through to maybe upgrade the program and how we're experiencing this whole reality. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you all for being here. I'm just gonna put my hands on my heart and just send anybody that's watching this, I'm just sending you a wave of love. And I'm just going to hug your ego, hug your inner child. I'm giving you a cosmic hug, because we're learning how to reconnect to ourselves in a new way, in a more loving way, in a more graceful way. And so this is a process, guys. Remember, Virgo, we're in process right now. It's not going to happen overnight. We're in Taurus season. If you've planted a seed, you can watch how that seed is growing. And sometimes your inner child gets impatient, right? It's like, I want the fruit now, but time. The energy has to be emitting long enough for that aspect to grow and to integrate, to become a part of us. So take your time, enjoy the Taurus season, be diligent about everything you're imbibing with, and yeah, see if you can have a new relationship with your ego, especially during this trine transit right now with Mars and Venus. So all right, thank you so much for being here. I love you guys so much. And yeah, I'll see you on the next transmission. All right, bye.